It's okay. Everyone can tap in. Nobody's live yet. It's the lockpicking meower variety hour. Let's see what we're working with here. We got Fred and Ben. We've got Louisa. We've got Sonny. They're all hungry. Kitty Catos. Oh, we got our first viewer. Say hello. Say goodbye. My cats are waiting for something. Wee! Many, baby boy. Hello, 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 hello. How are you doing today? Louisa! Hold on, leash. Benny, Benny, Benny. He's a Benny man. Benensta! Come on down, Benensta. Hey, home kitties. Oh, this is soupy stuff. I'm trying out this the pink container of Friskies, which I don't see as frequently as the other colors. Louisa says, which is what she usually says. 2 years ago, Louisa was living on the streets. 3 years ago, Ben was living on the streets. Very good kitties. Elite kitties. Meow! Yay! Excuse me. Squeeze me, Sally. Hello, Woodhouse. I am doing fantastic. Hello, Alicia. Kitties are being fed. So yeah, quite briefly, Louisa was a former feral that I pulled off the streets. Sunny pulled her pulled her off the streets as a kitten. Ben, big Ben, the big void over there, also a former street cat, and Fred was actually one of my first cats, and he is a former shelter pet that me and my ex picked up uh during COVID. He was a COVID kitty. Yeah, no, Rona, today we are at my apartment, not with baby Blue. So these are my cats. Well, she's available for Sunny is available for adoption if anybody wants her in the Southern California area. She but she is available as a bonded pair with her brother. Yeah. But but yeah, we got Louisa, we got Sunny, we got Benny, we've got the baby boy back there, Fred, fabulous Fred. The baby boy. All right. Saying y'all, I used to be a really good photographer. These are all lift prints that I did myself. This is Fred's sister Emily, and she is by a country mile, the shyest cat in my household, as it were. But she's a dear, and she loves me, and she's gorgeous, and torties are elite. And the weird thing about Emily is, for whatever reason, she just does not like wet foods. She does not like she likes like the squeezable treats, like the cat crack treat, but she just doesn't get down with wet food. Even like really like, and it doesn't matter. Like, you can buy her like super cheap stuff, and she's like, "Nah, I don't really feel this." And you can buy her mid range stuff like Friskies, and she's like, "Nah, this isn't really it for me." Or you can buy her like even like the super high end stuff. Like, you can give her the finest of Royal Canin, organic, 3 ingredients, and she'll be like, "Hello, Cloud. Nice to see you again." Yes. So yeah, you can give her the nicest food imaginable, and she'll be like, "No, I don't want this." But if you give her some cheap dry food, she'll just eat it up. It's hilarious. Scratch, 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 scratch. Meow. All right, we'll leave you alone to eat. Also, thank you, Cloud, for becoming a member. I don't know, like, I really don't understand what it is with YouTube notifications. Like, sometimes it just makes you go away. Sometimes it randomly unsubscribes people. I just don't understand what YouTube is doing sometimes, but it's okay because hello, Lady Locks. Thank you so much. So we got Emily eating now. Since Lady Locks is in the picture, I got to show. We got to do a brief. Um, we got to do a brief tangent away from kitty catos. I know it's the end of the world. Um, but I got to show something super cool that Lady Locks might be fascinated by, and any of the other lock pickers in the chat might be fascinated by, and frankly, everybody should be fascinated by. Now, it's it, it's a well known fact that my lock picking fascination includes a healthy dose of Master Lock fandom, which it really shouldn't, because Master Lock makes a lot of crap, but they also make a lot of good stuff. Let's ignore this gold D9. I can no longer pick high quality padlocks anymore. But I wanted to show y'all something very briefly. Now, this is a vintage Master Lock combo lock champ. These are, and this one is brass, which is very sexy. But we all, it's a well-known fact. These locks are crap. They can be shimmed. They can be hammered open. They're vulnerable to friendly fire. It's a conundrum of things. And also, the older ones, the code on the back, there is a publicly available PDF where you can get the code. Also, the original owner of this lock, I don't know if you can see it, actually um, scratch the code into the case, which is a great idea. Um, but these locks, this is a very cool vintage piece. Um, and the code is it 4218 or 2418? One second, sorry. 2418. I'm not sure whether I want to like shine this, like polish up the brass a bit, or just leave it with the original patina. Anybody got an opinion? 4 and 18. Yeah, but hello, Zoe the cat. But this is really cool. But this is what I really wanted to show y'all. Have y'all ever heard of the Master Lock 2001? There's also the 2010, which has a keyed backup. But this is a different beast entirely. Yeah, I'm kind of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. The thing I worry about is that I use Barkeeper's Friend as my polisher. And that's a slight abrasive, and I worry about it taking away the uh the black coating. But yeah, I wanted to show you all this. This is the Master Lock 2001, and this is what happens when Master Lock actually decides to put its best foot forward, and it's quite excellent. Now, it's got a boron alloy shackle. It's got a larger case than the standard 1500 models. And here's what makes it very interesting. Let's dial the code really quickly. So we all know how to dial a master lock. We go clockwise 3 times to stop at the first number, which in this case is 37. Don't worry, this lock is not for security, so I don't care if you guys know the code. 37. Then we pass 37 once to stop at the next number, which is 15. Bye, Rona. Thank you for stopping by. And then we go to our last number, which is 21. And you'd think, okay, it's open now. It's not open because this lock needs to be turned one more time the other direction to release a ball bearing locking mechanism. Yeah, that's right. That's right. This is a dial combination master padlock with a double ball bearing locking mechanism. It cannot be shimmed, it cannot be wrapped. Why don't more people know about this lock? Hello, P Dubs. Hello, Zoe the cat. I saw you earlier. Why don't more people know about this? This is a really, really good product. And here's the other thing. And also, when you lock it, because of the extra turn like a safe dial, when you relock it, it automatically turns the dial slightly to scramble the code. Great stuff. And like I said, this one has no key backup, so there's no okay, let's pick the 4-pin cylinder in the back. Hello, G Keyman. This is obviously I actually mentioned this. This is the double ball bearing combo master lock. I'll dial it really quickly for you. 37, 15, 21. Yeah, but double ball. Hello, Lupia. Is it? Yeah. So this is really cool. But yeah, and when it's open, the wheel is locked up a lot like a safe lock. But yeah, fast, fascinating thing. And Yeah, and and another thing is, uh, you know, I'm shite at it, but if you can pull on the shackle to kind of apply tension against the wheels, but with this one for decoding, I this one you because there's a ball mechanism in there. Yeah, it's I don't think pulling on the shackle tensions this code wheel the code wheels at all. So I'm sure there is a decoding attack, but I don't think it's the simple pull shackle and turn because this does not like you can see I'm pulling pretty hard. The color is starting to leave my finger. It's not binding at all. Like this is very impressive work by Masterlock. It's a pity more people don't know about it. But yeah, I, I'm thinking about doing a further breakdown on this one and being like, okay, what makes it tick? What's the actual attack? But like at the moment, I think the easiest attack vector is just to cut the shackle. That's the weak point in this lock right now. Oh, Zoe the cat, you can get this. I bought this one for $15 or less. There are people selling them on eBay. I saw a listing on eBay for two for $6, not free shipping. So it's two for $6 plus shipping. And this is a newer model, so it's made in Mexico. But yes, the older ones were made in America. America. Yeah. So it's either the master. This is the model 2001 has no key backup. There's also the model 2002, which I don't know anything about, but I'm assuming it's pretty much the same. Maybe a longer shackle or something. And then there's the model 2010, which has a key control override. Which, if you get the 2010, that honestly is the weak point because it's just a Master Lock's little 4-pin number 7 type cylinder. But anyways, thought y'all would enjoy that. This is what happens when Masterlock puts its best foot forward, and it's quite excellent. And and this is what happens when they don't. And although it's very pretty, it's a shit lock. Um, and I hate to be bullying the vintage model where it still has the champ little figure guy on it. Yeah, exactly. You can open this lock with another lock. Yeah, I think that's the vector, G key man. I think that's the vector with this one, but my question is how long and how much effort would it take to get that? And if you're doing all that prying, you're probably making noise. I would hazard a guess at that point, just grab the angle grinder and go. Like if you're making noise and you're grunting and you're like, just angle grinder it. But like that being said, this is probably my vector if I want to figure out what makes this thing tick, is I have to like get in with an ice pick or a screwdriver, like you said, and just to unroll to get the back out. But yeah, this lock, exactly like Ryan said, this lock can be opened. This is one of those you are using a master lock combination lock. It can be opened with another master lock combination lock. Yeah. But this one cannot be opened with another master lock combination lock. And this is why lockpicking Meower recommended. This is the model 2001 for everyone who's curious. By the way, this is not, you know, for anything crazy. If you really want an excellent combination lock, you buy a Sargent and Greenleaf 8077. But those are $500 new. This is 15. And I mean, like I said, I'm sure there's a weakness. There's a weakness in everything. But at the moment, the weakness I'm finding is the shackle itself. And that's a pretty good weakness to have in a padlock because the shackle is a weakness of every padlock. E except for the hockey puck padlocks, which don't really have an exposed shackle. Blah, 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 blah. Ever got my hands on a Bully? No, they're far too expensive for me. Um, but yes, indeed, like P Dub said, smash that like button, subscribe, donate to the channel, give me all your money, and I will give the blessings of Fred upon you. Meow. Also, the blessings have been upon you. Meow. But no, I've never gotten my hands on a Bully lock, but I definitely have gotten my hands on plenty of black belt level or like ridiculous lockage. We're gonna go do something else because you guys keep me responsible. I feel a need to like do things for the audience. So we're gonna do something that I've been putting off for quite some time that might be fun in a second. But yeah, Um, it's not a bully, but actually, from a picking standpoint, it's probably even more difficult. This is a NATO Mercy lock. It's a 14 lever lock that was used by the British Ministry of Defense. This one happens to be made in 1991, which means it is 1 year older than me. Oh, yeah. This on the LPU belt scale is a black belt level 5. I believe the bully is just a black belt. No Dan, no extra Dan. Yeah. The thing is, I think the Bully Deadbolt is a very cool design, and I'd love to get my hands on one, but I would never use it on my own door just because it's not user friendly. And like you'd have to instruct everybody who came over to use your lock what's going on. Like, oh, well, this is a Bully lock. You woohoo, lady locks, fourth Dan. And also, P Dub says pats to Fred and Ben. So here's pats to Fred. Beep, 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 and pats to Benny Benny. I do think I will say one thing, because I know the Bully original cylinder has been picked now. I think the Bully Rotacera between the disc detainer mechanism, the warding, and the reverse sidebar, I think that there's a non-zero chance that lock goes unpicked for quite some time. Like that's gonna be a toughie. But yeah, Bullies, the original, like all the Bullies, the original, the Rotacera, the 543, it doesn't matter because you have to do that extra turn situation. They're not user friendly, and like I mean, it, yeah. I mean, I would like that's the thing for like if I had like a gate that I needed to maintain security, but I didn't want to visit it all that often, I'd totally get a Rotacera with like some sort of Abus closed shackle padlock that, like I said, it exposes the minimum amount of shackle for people to cut. But in in the real world, people don't pick locks. And if you get enough security, you're more than good enough. I like the Deviant Olaf or Deviant Olam uh, recommendation, which is that for your security, like your highest security needs, get Schlage Primus and get it in such a manner that you can have all your other locks be standard Schlage. Because the Schlage Primus key will fit in a standard Schlage SC1 keyway, but the SC1 won't fit in Primus. So like that way for your best um for your for your highest security needs, you have a Primus cylinder and nobody's getting in. But for everything else, you have standard Schlage SC1. You can give that away to the gardener, the landscape, or the gardener and the landscape are the same thing by a different name. Whatever. Um, yeah, you can give it to the gardener. You can give it to the plumber, the utility people. Blah 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 blah. Blah. And don't trip about it. Um, so I think that's a good I think that's probably a good like overall. So, anyways, today on the lock picking meower variety hour, we've already seen some meowers, we've seen some locks, and now the variety starts because You guys are keeping me responsible. I'd like you to meet a friend. This. Now, for those of you who know and those of you who don't, I, professionally speaking, am le chef or le cook, depending on what you want to say, or le glorified burger flipper. If you want to insult me, please don't insult me. I need compliments. Um, but this is my most used knife. Yes, I love Chinese chef's knives or kai daos, if you want to say that. But I was an idiot a few weeks ago and I tried to break down bone with a vegetable slicer, and I put a nice chip in my blade. So we are going to do a bit of hand sharpening on this sucker, and you guys are going to watch, and we're going to discuss, excuse me, sharpening and long-term care of your knives. I am not le pew. I am le chef. Hon, oui, baguette. So, when you're sharpening, so first off, I just want to say, for those of you, if you know those pull-through sharpeners which have like the little V's, and you take your knife and you go, please don't use those. They're terrible for your knife. Hello, Fawn. Hello, Fawn Blackblood. Thank you for the voice compliment because I actually am very self-conscious about what my voice sounds like in general on a microphone. It's very nasally in my opinion. Anyways, but so if you're going to sharpen knives, I personally recommend using whetstones of some sort. Oil stones, water stones, those fancy sharpening systems where you like lock the knife in place and go like this. Whatever works for you, I do freehand. It works. And it's not a lot of people think it's difficult and it isn't. I mean, don't get me wrong. You're not gonna be brilliant at it right from the jump. But you know what? You couldn't ride a bike the first time you got on it. You know, you couldn't pick a lock the first time you tried it. Everything, everything in life that is a skill is a you need practice. You don't, unless you're just an absolutely savant. You know, you don't be like, "Ta-da, I'm a master of my craft." So so yeah, Zoe the cat knows. So yeah, my personal, you can still use oil stones if you want, but for me, water stones are the way to go. There's a lot of brands out there. A lot of them come from Japan. Some of them come from elsewhere. There's Naniwa, Shapton, Norton, a couple other ones. There's a lot of stone manufacturers. I am a big fan of Norton's water stones. And I'm a big fan. I'll specifically recommend that they offer like an intro to sharpening situation, which comes with three stones. You get a 240 and 1000 grit. So this is the 1000 grit side. This is the 240 side. This is for like more rough sharpening and setting the bevel. And you get also a 4,000 and 8,000 grit for fine polishing. And this is an absolutely, the 8,000 side is an absolutely beautiful stone that leaves a beautiful edge. Um, and in addition, you also get all the greatest hits beginning with Q. But you also get one of these, which is called, this is a like a fixer stone, which this as you use the water stones, they tend to dish out in the center slightly, and you use this to bring it back to flat. And finally, for high grit stones, namely the 8,000 grit, you want to have what's called a nagura, which is basically to start the slurry, because you want to raise the slurry and get like in suspension, you get a little bit of that abrasive, you get a little bit of water, and that's what's helping you polish. Anyway, we don't need this because my stones are flat-ish. But I just wanted to say that that exists. Another thing I really like about the Nortons is that the box for the stone itself includes notches, which turns it into a stone holder. Very, very good stuff. Very good design. All right, I'm going to slide this guy over here and slightly down. because or do I want to do? I'm trying to find a way to. Okay, no, no, no. I got a better idea. Flip! Hey! Just remember, I'm sorry I was late. My cat was sleeping on my leg, and you know the rule, or sleeping on my lap, and you know the rule. That's actually kind of cool, though, Zoe the cat. I did not know you were a butcher. Well, you didn't ask, David. Everybody's got a pass. You just need to ask. All right. What if? What if? What if I went? Ha 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 ha! Fool's gone wild. Professional live streaming by David Romano. Nah, that's a terrible angle. Oh, well, I mean, still, the training is dope. I mean, look, I trained for you know, I went to school. I went to college for a really long time to be a photographer. I I I made some money off it, but not nearly as much as I spent on cameras and film and what have you. Anywho, we're not going to be using the 240 for very long because 240 is a really aggressive stone overall. It takes down a lot of metal. Um, and somebody wants to join in on the fun. Okay. Also, one thing you'll note, my yeah, and don't get me started on the working conditions in those processing plants, Tyson chicken. Knives generally have a bevel that's set 50 degrees to 50%. They're dead center. This knife, because it's mine and because I've used it and because I've done all the sharpening, the bevel is actually biased towards one side because I'm left-handed. Only I use this knife, so it's okay to have it kind of curving a little bit inward. Indeed, Orange Kitty Catto. His name is Fred. I've had him for since 2001, 4 years. So the other thing is with the high grit stones like 240, they soak up water like crazy. So you gotta just make sure you're always we re-wetting the stone. But yeah, we're gonna just remove the blemish with 240. We're not gonna do much with 240 because we don't. The 240 puts in more scratches sometimes than it takes out. And what I'm doing is I'm holding the knife with my dominant hand. I'm have my index finger on the spine of the blade for control, and I have my thumb right by the fine point of the blade, so I know that my and this is helping me make sure that the bevel itself is riding flat against the stone. So we're actually doing work. And my other hand is also by the bevel as a guide, and I'm running it backwards and forwards to basically control which part of the stone is getting the work. Now, there are many ways to sharpen a stone. This is not the only way. If you do it differently, that's okay. Oh, blood sausage. Yum. So you'll notice I'm going to be doing most of my work. I have not scooped in baby blue yet. He's frankly speaking, between the fosters and my own cats, right now, I can't take him in. It's just it's too much cat shit, for a single person. I'm one guy. I don't have a wife or husband or boyfriend or girlfriend, uh, or I could have just taken all those forwards and said significant other. But I do, I'm a single human being. It's just me in this apartment and the cats, obviously. So first off, please don't come and attack me, like scary people, because I said it's just me. But second off, yeah, it's just I can barely keep up with the litter scooping as it is. So I need the two fawns out the house before I take Baby Blue. But yes, as soon as they're out the house, Baby Blue is in the house permanently. He will be kitty cat number. All right. Anyways, so back to sharpening. Well, Lady Locks, you want to set me up? Looking for man or woman with interest in cat locks, photography, and occasionally driving like an absolute lunatic. Thank you for becoming a member, LL. I think this means I need to become a paid member of your situation. Anyways, now we're starting to get a burr, which means that on the side that I'm sharpening, it's flattening out, but on the side that I'm not, you can feel it curling over. That's good. That's what we want. We're doing work. Now, some people, when they're done with this side, will flip the knife like this. I do it the other way. I flip my hand. Now, this introduces some complication because now your non-dominant hand, in my case my right, in most of your cases your left, is doing most of the work. But that's good because you get to learn the motion both ways. But you'll also notice I my movements are a little bit jerkier going this way. But it's there. But yeah, but we're doing work, and I'm noticing this stone is a little dry. And I don't know if y'all can hear it because my audio is coming through my AirPods, but this stone makes a lot of noise. Here, keep that in mind because when we get to the 8,000 grit, it's going to be completely different. Here, let me put it up to my ear. Can you hear that? And yes, thank you for stopping by, Zoe the cat. Thank you for your excellence. And I've switched back to the wrong side again. That's the lefty dominance. So you'll also know part of my leftyism is that I'm sharpening more on the side that is the leading edge. The side, the left side. And you can do this too if you want to, or you can set a strict 50-50, no bias thing. But I personally slightly prefer having a slight lefty bias. Um, so now what I'm going to do, I've kind of so now I've equalized. Okay, the chip has been brought down. It's a little bit more equalized. So I do not strop P-dubs, because frankly, it's just I consider it overkill. Um, but you can. Um, uh, for me, once I've done with the 8,000 grit, I've got a beautiful edge that just needs to be wiped off, and it's good. And I'll show you that when we come to the end. But right now, I just got to finish taking down this nastiness. So I'm actually going to tilt up a little bit further, which will kill my edge, but it will remove the blemish quicker. And it's okay because the 240 grit stone is primarily for fast material removal. The 1000 grit stone is more for setting the edge. And try to use the whole stone. That prevents it from dishing as much as it would. It's still going to dish. It's going to happen, but you don't want to like one spot. So I'm just trying to get to that point where I'm happy. Like the edge is toast right now. But I'm trying to get to the point where I'm happy with the edge that's going to come back. All right, and much better. Or sorry, see the chip is starting to go away. All right, now take our stone, moisten it again because it's been out of the water for a while. Now the 1000 grit will not dry out nearly as quickly as the 240. And like I said, 1000 does a lot of the work. Indeed, check out GT Man's video. Check out all the videos. So we're shooting for a roughly 15-degree angle. Anywhere between 12 and 17 is pretty fine. You don't want to go too thick because then it's more chopping than slicing. Um, more. This is not, despite the fact that it looks like a cleaver. This is actually for vegetable. Oh, I mean, it's a vegetable cleaver, but it's not a meat cleaver. This is not a brute force instrument. This is a precision tool. And yes, I'm always going back to this water so I can keep my edge clean, so I can see where my progress is, and I can see how my bevel is looking. And a little more work on the back. Another thing I like about Chinese chef's knives, personally, is that you can kind of do different techniques of sharpening for different parts of the knives. I tend to have the back be a little bit more deep, actually, just so I can use the back to get through like the butt part of onions or whatever without worrying. And then the front of the blade can be a little bit more of a laser for stuff like you know uh tip work, stuff like cherry tomatoes, stuff that's very fine and small, and you want to just go, or like mincing garlic, ginger. All right. Like I said, you can see I'm doing most of the work on the front of the knife as relative to where I use it. The front of the knife for you righties would actually be this side. Um, but we're getting to the part where I'm happy with the front. So let's knock off that burr that formed. Get this out of the way. When I'm doing righty, I keep hitting it. I know this is hello stray project. Yeah, I don't know if any of you else are chefs or are big into culinary, but I cannot recommend highly enough getting into Chinese chef's knives. They are really the superior. I know everyone loves, their Japanese chef's knives and their gyutos and their little lasers, but Chinese chef's knives, believe me, folks, it's where it's at. Yeah, this is actually not super expensive. This is the Dexter Russell um, Chinese chef's knife. All right, we're done with 1,000 grit. Yes, the tip is completely gone. But now we need to yeah. Now we need to refine. Now we're done setting our edge. This knife will cut now, but it's a very dirty edge. So we've got to refine our edge now. So we break out our 4,000, 8,000 grit stone, and actually I'm going to take the 1,000, the 241,000. I'm going to take it out of the water and just let it start drying out because we're done with it. The only problem with this handle, P Dubs, is that it's not treated or sealed in any way. So you do have to care for it with oil or beeswax or stuff like that. But and also something funny, um, you know, a lot of the knives for kitchen purposes have been will have the NS at least in the states will have the NSF certification, the National Sanitation Federation or something like that. Basically, this knife is or this it's not just knives, but this instrument is has our seal of approval for working in uh in clean sanitary kitchens, and we like it. But for whatever reason, they won't give that steel stamp of approval. Yes, I mean, here's the thing: never put knives in the dishwasher ever. If you do, oh my God, you're an animal. Yeah, never put knives. Never put quality pots and pans. Like, don't put stainless in the dishwasher because it can be problematic. Um, I once worked. So, dishwashing knives is a great way to ruin the edge. Also, if they're stainless, um, the I believe it's the chromium in stainless steel can react very funny with with uh with the dishwasher and liquids, and it's a great way to to ruin the stainless properties of it. That too is for the wood specifically. It doesn't, yeah, because dishwashers are very hot, and there's chemicals going on in there. But yeah, me personally, um, like mixing bowls and forks, spoons, spatulas, blah blah blah. Yeah, chuck that sucker in the in the dishwasher and call it a day. But I mean, first off, anything that's cast iron or carbon steel that's going to rust is going to have to be hand washed because you need to wash that sucker and then dry it instantly. You don't want rust. But more to the point, hello, Silvana. We're sharpening knives today. For now, but more to the point, any chef is very protective of their things, especially their knives. I would not. I don't want that stuff out of my sight for any amount of time. And the same thing goes for cleaning it. I don't want some schnook cleaning it, and the schnook could be a robotic schnook named dishwasher. So yeah, it's actually funny you mentioned that, P Dubs. When I was growing up, we did have a dishwasher. It was very old. But my mother had just made it kosher for Passover. So we could only use the dishwasher on Passover. So 8 days out of 365, you got to use the dishwasher, but the rest of the year, hand washing. Dude, all right. I like where we're at. Yeah. What it is, it's religion. It's religion. I don't, whatever gets people through the night, you know, bless you. If you're, you know, whatever your thing is, that's cool with me. I'm not going to look down on you. But I do think that sometimes religion can make people do just strange things. And you're like, why are you doing that? Well, God told me to. It's like, God told you not to use the dishwasher 90% of the year? Really? Don't get me wrong, but in the year 2000 BC or whatever, I don't think the dishwasher existed. I mean, the dishwasher was your slave, calling a spade a spade. Hello, Elijah. Welcome. Good morning. All right, now we're on to, like I said, the 8,000 grit stone is this is a beautiful stone. I don't know if it's, oh, so I will explain that very quickly, Silvana. It's very easy. First off, practice, 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 and more practice. Hold on one second. Let me put this thing. See if you guys can pick up the sound difference. If that got picked up, it's instead of it's a more of a, it's polishing. The point is that it's polishing rather than removing a lot of material. Primarily, it's the primary purpose of the 8,000 gritstone is to polish, um, is to leave a beautiful finish that will cut easily. All right, I'm gonna keep going. Oh, but okay, it's fine. It just sounds like this. Whereas the harder stone sounds like sandpaper. But when you're cutting, what you're taught what you're taught is you want to have your three fingers, your your index, middle, and ring finger are down, hold, and your yes, P dubs. Sharpening a chisel and sharpening a knife, generally speaking, the concept is exactly the same. You want to form a burr and then knock it off and then polish. I don't know what happened. We're back though. We're back. Sorry, the internet crapped out in my neck of the woods. That sucked. All right, welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back, everybody. All right, I'm going to try and get this sharpening situation done as quickly as possible, and then I'll demonstrate in a less awkward manner how you stay safe with a knife. By the way, there's also things called cut gloves, and um, if this is a frequent thing, get them. They're basically made of Kevlar. Yeah, Spectrum Spectrum is always doing wonky stuff. You should expect nothing less from the offspring of Time Warner Cable. They are a crap company. Excuse me. Oh, Silvana, you're from Manhattan. Okay, so all right, or you're close to Manhattan. I have a funny story for you about New York City, uh, or about the five boroughs. Um, so I don't know if I've mentioned it, but my mother grew up in Rockaway Beach, New York, in Bell Harbor specifically. Um, yeah, speaking about Verizon. So my cell provider is Verizon, um, and generally speaking, I think Verizon is regarded as the best of the best when it comes to U.S. cell networks. I mean, broadly speaking, there's not that much difference these days, but generally speaking, I think Verizon is considered the you know the top dog versus AT&T and T and Trash Mobile and Savannah says lies. No, I'm just going off of what Consumer Reports has said for like the past 20 some odd years. I can tell you though from firsthand experience, AT&T is doo doo caca. But yeah, generally speaking, at least in LA, Verizon is the way to go. You know, and in Manhattan, I've had better experiences because I used to have AT&T. In Manhattan specifically, I've also in general had better experiences with Verizon than AT&T. Can't speak for. Oh, you're in Jersey City. Ah, fucking New Jersey. But yeah, in Rockaway Beach, where my mom grew up, there is no Verizon transmitter. The nearest one is in Brooklyn, across the bridge. So when I visit my grandparents, or sorry, grandparent, my grandma, um, which it's been quite a while, but because adulthood and working and that precious little chance to travel for pleasure. Um, but yeah, I go visit my grandma, and my network is shite, like full time shite. Well, I mean, I will say one thing, and this is big ups to the northeast corridor or whatever. You guys actually have decent public transportation. You can get around places without a car. Like, don't get me wrong, you can get around without a car in LA, but you better friggin' plan ahead. So I mean, it's been a while since I was spending a lot of time on the Eastern Seaboard, but I guess for you, I'm guessing New Jersey Transit to the path to the subway, and you're in Manhattan. Or maybe, I mean, I don't even. It's been a while. Do you need to get on NJ Transit, or is there just a path stop at um in Jersey City? I don't know. The last time I was doing that whole situation, I was going to see something at the Meadowlands. I can't remember whether it was a no, wait, no, yeah, 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 yeah. It was a Giants game. It was. I went and saw the Giants play the Packers the year after they won their last Super Bowl in the Meadowlands. But yeah, coming from New York, yeah, coming from New York, yeah, you take the subway to Grand Central, then you hop on. N or no, you don't even hop on the path at all. You go to Grand Central and you hop on New Jersey Transit. Done ski. And, like, the funny thing is that we do have, um, trains in Southern California, but they could be so much better. They could be so much better. And, like, a big question I have is just like, look, I know in the Eastern Seaboard, the Acela isn't a real high-speed line like you folks in Europe get, lucky dogs, or like the Shinkansen in Japan. But, the fact of the matter is the Acela is a good deal quicker than pretty much everything else in the United States, at least until these bright line or there's the California high speed rail, which has been either in planning or construction for forever and is over budget like everything else in California, and is behind schedule like everything else in California. And you know it's a question of what's going to open first: the California high speed rail, which isn't even going to go to San Francisco to start with, and I don't even think it's making it to LA. Like, it's stopping in like Anaheim, or not Anaheim. Like, I don't know, somewhere outside LA, like Palmdale or something. And for those of you who are not from LA, when I say Palmdale, sorry, my Antelope Valley friends, but you know I'm right. You know you're only living there because you couldn't afford LA. I should keep my trap shut because I can barely afford LA. I'm this close to Palmdale myself. It's here's the thing. The two like generally speaking, even though things have been not been going great of late, I consider myself a patriot. I'm proud to be an American. Meh, 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 meh. But I look to Europe and I see two things and I'm like, why can't we have these things? And it's high speed rail, like effective high speed rail and cheap plane flights. Like people can shit talk Ryanair all you want, but the fact of the matter is that Ryanair will get you from like London to Paris for like $15. It like you know that's a deal that an American could not even think of because even our cheap airlines like Spirit, which just tries to follow the Ryanair playbook, like they have to pay the TSA fee that it is, and then this, and then Americans want their drinks and their food, and then you know and I mean another thing is that I think LA is for its new subway rolling stock is contacting with the Chinese um rolling stock company. Like I can't remember what they're called, like Chinese China Heavy Rail manufacturers or something like that. I don't know. Point is that freaks me out a little bit. I don't like I just don't understand that. I mean, there's plenty of good rail car manufacturers that aren't, you know, beholden to what will be our number one geopolitical adversary for the coming future. You could buy from Kawasaki in Japan, like New York does. You could buy from Bombardier in Canada, like New York also does. Yeah, you could even do like LA did, which was not wise, by the way, and buy from the Italians. Yeah, that's right. LA subway cars, first off, they're shit. But second off, they were made in Italy by Breda, which is now part of Leonardo, the multinational defense corporation. There's some LAT you might not have heard of or known. And if you're not interested in public transit like I am, but yeah, it's all like a big problem. A lot of people like to point fingers, especially in LA. A lot of people like to point fingers at our mayors, like Garcetti this and Karen Bass that, and I'm not going to comment on them and the jobs they do, other than I just got to say in general. But the big problem is thinking that the mayor can do anything when LA has and has had historically a famously corrupt city council, and so many projects get bogged down by city council members. Just, well, what's in it for me? You know, what, how can I profit off this? Blah, 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 blah. And it's disgusting. Um, or like a great example that I've seen many a time is, um, a lot of bus stops in LA are completely unsheltered from the sun, um, in any way. And a lot of people are saying, "Well, what? LA is a desert. It's sometimes in the hundreds in the summer." That's Fahrenheit, not that's freedom units, by the way, for you people who actually use a normal measuring system. Um, Although I will say this, I like the I like generally I will agree with people that metric is a far better system, but I love the concept of 100-degree day, and that's like it's hot. Like, oh, how hot is it? Triple digits. Perfect. If it's triple digits in Celsius, you're dead because 100 degrees Celsius is the temperature that water boils when you're 98% water. Well, yeah. I don't like, oh, it's so hot. How hot is it? 50 or whatever y'all metric people say. It's 40 degrees. Oh, wait, hold on. 20 degrees Celsius. 20 Celsius is 68 Fahrenheit. I know that from my darkroom stuff. And 21 is 70, which is a lovely day. Um, 40 is 100. Yeah, sorry. You can't go around saying it's a 40-degree day. It's a scorcher. Nah. Yeah, no. Triple. Yeah. I love. All right. Triple digits is where it's at. All right. And we're pretty much done. And as you can see, there is the 8,000 grit lives a beautiful, beautiful mirror polished edge. So yeah, that's where we're at right now. Boom. And the backside, as you can see, there's clearly less blade because the backside is less important. But we are done. Zoe the cat is back. Perfect timing. I just finished sharpening. And also, when you're done, you're gonna have a dirty stone. You're gonna want to clean this, but I'm gonna clean this off camera. I'm gonna get lazy. I like my knives to be beautiful. That's just me though. Hello, bad bitch Lola, or no, bad bitch Lola, like Coca Cola. Where did I get the stones? Amazon.com. They are the Norton. They are the Norton. The Norton sharpening stone, like intro to water stones, something or. Oh, my day is fantastic, Lola. Fantastic. I have successfully sharpened up my favorite knife. Not knife, a knife. Oh, yeah, but yeah, highly recommend it. And I mean, I don't use them anymore, but yeah, I don't use them anymore. But when you're first, excuse me, when you first get started, they do have like guides where you can like clip a little like a little thing to the top to the spine of the knife, which will like make sure you're at the correct angle. But like at some point, it's just like, okay, I know what I'm doing, and I know what I'm shooting for, and I know what I want, and this is that. All right, now Really quickly for Silvana, let me just demonstrate safety in cutting. Now, like I said, if you're if you're regularly eating, like, turning your hands into, or sorry, let me flip it. If you're regularly turning your hands into ground beef, get cut gloves. They're a Kevlar material that will basically stop the knife in its tracks if you try to cut. But and remember, I'm left-handed, so you're probably going to have to mirror what I'm doing, but the concept is the same regardless. So when we hold a knife, when we hold a knife, I'll show that briefly, P Dubs. Then when we hold a knife, we want thumb and forefinger on the actual knife itself, and then you don't. I know it has a handle. You don't need to hold it like this. You know, and I see a lot of people do this. My mother included. If you want to, you can, but it's supposed to be thumb and forefinger on the thing. These things are so big you can actually do thumb, forefinger, and middle finger, which is lovely. The reason I love Chinese chef's knives is if you can do your thing, and then they're actually big enough to use as a scooper, so you can come in and scoop up. Like if you've minced a bunch of garlic, you just come in. So with your offhand, you want to have three fingers down, and as you can see, let me lower things slightly. You can see my middle finger is leading slightly. And what you want is you want your knife literally riding along. As you can see, the skin on my middle finger is actually moving slightly because my knife is in contact with my middle finger. And this way, unless you start getting crazy and then do this, which is bad, which you shouldn't. But as long as you're controlled, you can go very quickly, and not hurt yourself because your fingers are back. Now, I will say one thing. My biggest problem is sometimes I do get lazy, crazy, and lackadaisical, and I'm like, oh, too high, clunk, and that hurts. Um, but it's but another thing to be careful with is the wandering thumb, where as you're moving backwards, your thumb creeps forward, and then all of a sudden, holy smokes, your thumb is in front of your guide finger, and then clunk, and that hurts too. So yeah, like I said, you want to work on the claw. Um, where like see if I have something I can like demonstrate with. I don't really have a lot of food in this house right now that needs cutting. Bell peppers. The claw. Yes, I don't use the wood cut. The wood cutting board is just as a baseboard. When I'm actually cutting stuff, it's plastic. Those Japanese rubber cutting boards are really nice too, but I just can't afford them. They're very expensive for the like large sizes. All right, you probably shouldn't do this either, but I'm lazy. It's a chef's knife, not a plastic cutting knife. Now these are just tops from some red bell peppers. But yeah. So like if we're doing okay, say hello to doggo doggo. So if we're doing a chop, we can either do a rocking cut like that, or we can do a chop, push cut, or pull. Either way, it doesn't matter. And then you produce these lovely cuts of bell pepper. Mm, I love red bell pepper. Yummy, yummy, yummy. So that's how you're supposed to cut. Yeah. professionally speaking. Most culinary schools will teach the rocking cut, which is also why you see, excuse me, one second, a lot of European style chef's knives. Um, like these are both German knives. This is a more French shape with this, with this more curved shape, which are designed to have that rock. And then, of course, you can go really like the new modern knives out of Germany have a really pronounced thing, so you can really rock that sucker. Whereas in general, knives from Japan have a much flatter profile that are designed for a push cut or a pull cut. And the same thing goes from knives from China, which, it's more designed for a pushing or pulling motion than a rock. Not saying you can't, but David, my favorite knife, by the way. It doesn't go outside because it's carbon steel, and generally speaking, when I'm at work, I prefer stainless because it's less to worry about. But at home, it is a laser. But yeah, so now and the same thing goes if we want to do a dice really quickly. I'll just demonstrate that. We cut up our things, we turn them 90 degrees, and there you go, diced. Anyways, that's what I do for a living. All right, for P Dub, really quickly, stone cleaning. Um, this really is the lockpicking meower variety hour. There's actually not that much meow and not that much lock. Meow. Okay, CLK in 28 minutes. I've been going for 84 minutes, so it's now the lockpicking meower variety hour and a half. Um, but okay. So, Rona, when it comes to sushi knives, any knife can be good for sushi. Um, it needs to be sharp, like I mean sharp, sharp, sharp. Because you want an almost scalpel like. Yeah. I want the record to show that though I have a lot of knives, these are all $5, $5, $5, $25, $100. And I got this one, and this one, as well as these two paring knives, all of them which are Henkel's, by the way, made in Germany, for $40 at a estate sale. $5 free, free gift from my ex, so free. Cutco is shit, anyways. $5, $5. Like these are not expensive knives. They're nice. They work very well. They're very sharp, all of them. Yeah. I I do have, if I'm going to do sushi, I do have, you know, though the lousy knives are up on the display. The nice knives stay stay hidden. Now this would be an excellent sushi knife. And indeed I've used it for breaking down fish quite a bit. Um yeah, this yeah. And I know Japanese knives are very in vogue, and it's not without reason. The Japanese make some excellent knives, but I think it kind of sucks that the legacy manufacturers like Zwilling J, Henkel's, and Wusthof from Germany have kind of somewhat fallen out of favor of late because they make really good products too. And especially, if you need something that is like going to break down bones and products, these kind of heavy, thick backed chef knives, you just don't find them in Japan. You have to go to Germany or the United States, but we don't really make like nice knives anymore. Like this is a 12-inch Dexter Russell, and you can even see it's not nearly as thick at the back as that smaller Henkels. All right, all right. Sorry, ADD is a thing. Sorry, folks. Yeah, you're in the Edelweiss zone. Yeah, globals are make a beautiful knife, very thin. But all right, stone fixing. It's very simple. All right, we're gonna do the 8,000 because it's the most obviously like grody to the max. Um, Let me see if I can. Now, if you have access to a pencil, that's great, but you don't need it. But I'm gonna look for a few seconds, and if I find it, that's great, and if I don't, that's great too. It is what it is. No pencil. No, no, no pencil. Huh. All right, no pencil. That's all right. You you kn you know what, Victorinox, they don't make the nicest knives, like, as far as appearance, they don't have, like, the beautiful handle work or the folded steel, but I'm telling you, in professional kitchens, Victorinox is everywhere because they're well made, the steel is good, and they're they work. They work. They are hardworking knives. As far as in professional kitchens, as far as in my experience, the most common brands you see are going to be either Victorinox or Dexter. There's some other ones. I think there's like every now and then you'll see Tramontina, which is the Costco brand, or like my current job. Well, as you know, I have two jobs. One of them I provide my own knives, so I use like this is a work knife for me actually. But my other job, they use a knife brand called Pozzini, which is it's just another shite brand of like middling level steel, but whatever. Anyways, so when you're doing stone fixing or stone cleaning, the things you want to do is eliminate this gunk and eliminate any dishing that might have happened. Now, to tell for your dishing purposes, what I like to do is to take a pencil and do crosshatch marks in the stone in pencil, and that way when all the cross hatching is gone, the stone is flat. But we're not going to do that right now. We're just going to do because I couldn't find a freaking pencil. But so we're going to have the water running. We always want running water. We don't want stuff drying out. By the way, none of these are like original ideas. They might be good ideas, but they're not original ideas. I got them all from other people. But knowledge is to be shared, and I got the knowledge from other people, and I'm moving the knowledge forward to you fine people. All right, and so we take our flattening stone. Is a very s- now this is actually um probably very similar to like a coarse grit oil stone in that it's probably um uh aluminum or either silicon carbide or aluminum oxide, I can't remember. um Or like, what's the term for it in like fancy people speak, like carborundum or something like that? Anyways, so we want both stones wet, 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 wet. And also you'll notice that this stone is bigger than the sharpening stone in most um, directions. And in fact, they do sell an even bigger fixer stone, which is like a square. And that I'm at one point I'm gonna buy that because that's actually better than this because it allows the whole stone to be worked on. Like this part, it does work on most of the stone, but there is a point like this where no work is being done here. Anyways, na na na, and you just want to go round and around and around, keeping the water handy, round and around and around and around and around and around and around, round, round, forward, backwards. And we're working the whole stone. We're not no 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 part of the stone left behind. Just like our children, no children left behind. And you can actually, it's funny, you can actually see where the dish is because this still is maintaining the. Are we back? Sorry, I had a scam phone caller. How could he have the nerve? How could he have the nerve? How could they have the nerve? Yeah, I had a scam caller call me while I was live. How could they have the nerve to do something like that? So I didn't pick up the phone. Although if I did pick up the phone, I could tell them exactly where I think they should stick their heads. Preferably up their next door neighbor's ass. Um, but yeah, so we do a little bit of grinding, a little bit of shiny, shiny, and like that, boom, and boom. It's all back to lovely. Now, is this perfectly flat? Almost certainly not, because I didn't, check millimetrically. But yeah, that's how I clean my water stones. Let's do the 1,240 also really quickly. Whee! Yeah, 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 yeah. What song is that I was? Oh, wait. Hellbent for Leather by Judas Priest. Hellbent for leather. Hellbent for leather. There's many who try to prove that they're faster, but they didn't last and they died as they cried. Sorry, folks. I'm a huge dork. And I mean, Judas Priest, metal icons, gay icons, love them. Or no, they're not metal icons. They're metal gods. You want to see ditch? Look at the 240 side. Look how. All right. The 240 is going to need a lot more work than I'm willing to do for on camera. So that one I'm going to finish later. But the 4,000 to 8,000 is pretty much good to go. We're going to let that dry there. Now, the one thing I will say is when it comes to whetstones, some of them can sit in water pretty much indefinitely. The Norton whetstones are not those stones. If you leave them in water forever, they're going to start breaking down. So when you're finished, get them out, let them dry. That's my strong, and I mean strong, recommendation. There's other brands. I believe Naniwa um, can stay in water for a lot longer, and there's some other Japanese brands that can pretty much stay in water indefinitely. Um, and one thing I'd love to get into at some point, not for any other purpose other than just because I'm a huge nerd, is that these are man-made stones where it's some sort of man-made abrasive, aluminum oxide probably, in a a medium which sets. There's also natural stones, um, which are quarried straight out of the earth. Um, probably the most famous in the United States is the Arkansas stone. Um, there's also in Europe, there's the Belgian blue stone. There's also Japanese natural stones. Okay, so is l- diamond is better and worse at the same time, P dubs. When it comes to longevity, diamond wipes the floor with standard stones. They're going to last way longer. Yeah, do it. Do it. Do it. He did it. Baby boy. Do it. Meow. Fred is straight out of central casting, people, I tell you. So yeah. Anyways, diamond stones. Diamond stones. Last very long, remove material quickly. And I mean quickly. But compared, yeah, Silvana, if I were you, I would go with water stones over oil stones. They're a lot cleaner because you don't need to work with all that. Yes, Zoe the cat. That was going to be the downside. They remove a lot of metal quickly. They last forever, but as far as the quality of the edge, it's nowhere near as fine or as precise as a standard water stone, or maybe even an oil stone. To be honest with you, but yeah, Silvana, if I were you, I would avoid the oil stones. They're kind of old technology. They're great for sharpening like chisels or like axe blades or whatever. Yes, yes, Pocket Woman. You so um I think it generally regards to the type and quality of the media because um I mean oil and water have different viscosities. But yeah. Um but if I were you, I would get, yeah, it's a little more expensive to go with the water stones if when you're first starting out, but in the long run, water I think is the way to go because you don't need to be buying cutting oil or whatever. Not that you ever need to buy cutting oil because you can just use like mineral oil, um, but or like baby oil. But yes, yeah, oil stones they've served us for a very long time, and they've been faithful helpers to the working people of the world. But we have water stones now, and I highly recommend you go with water over oil. It's not, you know, oil stones are like what your grandpa used to sharpen his like case knife or whatever. And I mean, you can definitely follow the. Yeah, let me see. Actually, I can't. Hold on one second. Meh, 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 meh. Fun girl. Sorry, folks, if the audio crapped out. I went and grabbed my iPad for a second. Excuse me. Okay. Was all right. Yeah. Yeah. Man, they got expensive since the last time I bought them. Expensiver? All right. That's what I use. They're now 200 bucks, which is seems pretty steep. But I mean, that's what I use. All right. Anyway, let me put away the iPad. Bye bye, iPad. I hardly knew you. Also, in other news for you energy drink aficionados, the Celsius Retro Vibe, big thumbs down. It tastes like shite. So yeah, Silvana, I left the link to what I use, the exact set that I use. When I bought it 4 years ago, it was a lot cheaper. Um, but like also generally speaking, yeah, yeah, but P Dubs, you're geographically closer to Japan. So if I were you and you're looking for water stones, I would look for the brand Naniwa, Naniwa, Naniwa. The they're you know they're probably going to be cheaper in your neck of the woods. And they also make very good stones for anybody who's interested. Like Norton is what I use because when I bought the stones in 2021, it was 150 bucks for a 240, 1000, uh, 4,000, 8,000 grit stones plus the flattening stone, all ready to go. And so it was a great deal at the time. Now it's still a okay price, but at 200 bucks US, maybe not. And I also think, like, look, I talked up how beautiful the 8,000 grit, the Yellowstone is, and it does, as you saw, leave an absolutely beautiful edge. But realistically speaking, you don't really need the 8,000 unless you're doing a lot of sushi stuff or like, protein breakdowns where you want like an absolutely laser sharp edge. And you don't really need the 240 on grit unless you're doing a lot of hardcore knife repair. Not so much knife sharpening, but knife repair, where you have large chips and you want to get rid of them. the vast majority of your work. Now, I don't now this is now do as I say, not as I do, because the vast majority of my work is 1,000 and then 8,000. But the vast majority of your work, realistically speaking, is the 1,000 grit to sharpen and set the bevel, and then 4,000 to refine the edge into something that's nice and works well. And I don't have it, but I believe Norton does sell a combination 1,000 4,000 grit stone. And if you're going to get only one stone, that is what you should get, is the 1,000 4,000. And as a matter of fact, sorry if my audio craps out. I'm pulling back the iPad. Let me see if I can find that sucker right now. Technologia, technologia. But yeah, P-dubs, as far as Amazon being a ripoff, I'm gonna just go ahead and say that America is just a ripoff if you're in Australia. Like skip, hard skip. Yeah. So Silvana, that's what I linked up there. That's what I use. But yeah, and Zoe the cat. That's why I love the 8,000 grid is because it leaves that mirror edge. But it's not required by any stretch of the imagination. Thought here. Hopefully the link includes. Yes, it did. That is the Norton 1,000 4,000. And realistically speaking, I would say used is fine. So yeah, if you're gonna hit only one stone, that one, well, one I just linked, the 1,000 4,000 is the one to get. You miss out on the 8,000 grit, which is beautiful, but realistically speaking, like I said, 8,000 grit, unless you're doing a lot of sushi where you need to do fine cuts on protein and keep that protein structure completely intact without like any tearing or pulling, 4,000 is more than sharp enough. And as a matter of fact, 4,000 grit, when it comes to waxy vegetables like tomatoes and stuff, is actually kind of better because it's a little bit toothier. And Silvana, used, um, I would say use very good or use like new. Go for it, go crazy, knock yourself out, have fun. Use, I'm going to go hard pass. Um, and yes, Zoe the cat. Um, yeah. Um, both both will cut you. Yeah, and 165, yeah, I saw that, so, I saw that, Silvana, and in fact, 165 is closer to what I actually paid for it 4 years ago, so it might be a worthwhile, venture. But, yeah, Zoe the cat, I'm gonna expand on that and say both will cut you. The sharp knife cut will be clean and will be healed quickly. The dirty knife cut is gonna get the dull knife cut will infect, and that's never any fun. Alright. Do I feel like taking a crack at this D9 or not really? I know Lady Locks complimented me and was like, "Hey, you're one heck of a picker," and I appreciate. Absolutely, absolutely easier. I know Lady Locks is like, "Hey, you're one heck of a picker," and it's true that I'm one heck of a picker when it comes to picking shite locks off fences. But like the downside to that is I can no longer pick like tough locks anymore. Like I can pick the shit out of crappy locks that are full of gunk, but you give me something that's like precise and nice, like this gold D9, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And yes, much like knives and water stones, Japanese locks are quite excellent. Which is hilarious because, as I've mentioned before, lock picking is profoundly illegal in Japan, and as is the possession of lock picking tools. And Japanese courts have like an over 90% conviction rate. So it's crazy that they have such good locks in a place where, or you know, I'm not saying that they're better physically than American locks because American locks are always physically tough, but it's crazy that their locks are so pick resistant in a country where literally if you pick, you are in jail. And yet another reason I'm proud to be an American, where at least I can pick locks, unless I live in Nevada or Virginia or somewhere else, Ohio. Yeah, Silvana, you've been with me for long enough to know that I am just a repository of useless facts. Man, Ken Jennings ain't got shit on me. Yeah, and this is true. Don't forget the 11th commandment is thou shalt not get caught. Let's get the bong out of the frame, if you don't mind. Um, yeah, I know so many things. I don't know what's coming out of my mouth. Speaking of which, okay, there's 28 people in the live. Yeah, but luckily for you, so well, I believe both Jersey and New York are intent states, so you can actually have lockpicks unless you're caught with them in the act of committing a crime, in which case they become an enhancement, as it were. But but in Nevada, which is very close to where I am, obviously, geographically speaking, you can possess lockpicks in the comfort of your own house. However, if you carry them on the street without a locksmith's license, it's prima facie uh, evidence that you are about to commit a crime. So you can get in big trouble. Whereas in the state of California, where I live, or New York, or actually, frankly, like I said, most of the United States is like this, with the exception of Nevada, Virginia, and I believe Ohio as well. There might be some other places, and I mean, obviously, check your local regulations and don't do anything stupid. But or don't do anything stupid that isn't funny. Also, um, but but yeah, in California, you can carry lockpicks out on the street as much as you want. It doesn't matter, and you're fine. It's not, a cop can't do anything, can't say anything to you about it. It's like, what do you have there? It's lock picks. What are you doing with them? Fifth, none of your business. You know. Now, but that being said, if you are committing a crime and you have lock picks with you, that can be used as an enhancement. But that's no different than carrying, let's say, a firearm. If you have a carry license, you can carry a firearm to your heart's content. But if you're committing a crime with firearm on your person, then you could get a firearms enhancement. So the same thing goes for lockpicks. It's completely legal to carry unlicensed. You don't need a license in the state of California. Yeah, well, and yes, so yes, in this regard, lockpicks are the same as anything else that can be a lot of fun and very cool, but can also be something dangerous or scary if too many people see it. Same way you don't walk around the streets the streets flashing a gun or a knife at people. You don't walk around going, "Look at my pics, bitch," because at some point, some Ken or Karen or some, you know, you know, we get down on the Karens a lot, and it's kind of sexist because, at least in my experience, it's not the Karens, it's the old white Kens. Do you have a permit? Or sorry, they don't even say permit; they say permit. Do you have a permit for that? You have a permit for you to shut the fuck up. How about that? I will say one thing as a millennial: whenever the olds get on me and like, you shouldn't, you shouldn't this, that, and the other, or whatever. I'm just, yeah. But I think that's where people like um LPL, like McNally, like Lady Locks, like Locknoob, is it's putting a friendly face or friendly hands, shall we say, on lockpicking, showing like, hey, this is a relaxing hobby, this is a fun hobby, this is a mentally stimulating hobby, you know? And 98% of home break-ins have nothing to do with lockpicking because, and as I will show very quickly, hold on. I think I only had two pins set there. Oh, we're going on an adventure. Emily, 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 Bemily, Bemily. All right. We're going on an adventure to my front door. Baby boy. David, do you think electricity is free? Jesus Christ, on a bike, man. Excuse me, sorry. So, let me see if I can avoid showing you my unit number. I'm sure you eager sleuths can definitely figure out where I live, especially since I mentioned I live in LA. But yes, Emily is so pretty. And you guys know Emily better than most people. Yeah, people always need me clutching their pearls. But yes, let's talk about. All right, we're back. Hopefully, I turned off my Wi-Fi because they were kind of like in that interim place where it's like yes Wi-Fi, no Wi-Fi, maybe Wi-Fi. Anyways, I'll wait for peeps to come back. Bing bop, boom 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 bop, bam. Liquid Snake's love child. Hello. How are we doing, folks? Back. Yay. All right. Yeah, I'm on 5G for now, so we'll see. Anyways, as I was saying, we are okay. We are back at my front door. And as I was saying before, I was so rudely interrupted by the network. Um, this is my front door deadbolt. Please don't pick it. I have not picked it. Rule two: lock is in use. It's not owned by me. It's owned by the building. But this is a quick set deadbolt. It's not smart key, as you can see. There's no smart key. It's master keyed because the building manager and whatever have their own keys that are not bitted the same as my key. For you lock pickers out there, if this were not mounted on my door, if this was something that you could pick, how long would it take you to open it, roughly speaking? Because I know how long it would take me, and the answer is sub 1 minute, possibly sub 30 seconds with a quick zip attack. Here's the thing: this is a shite lock. Yeah, 2 minutes. That sounds about right. Keep in mind, this is, yeah, seconds raking. This is a shite lock. And it'll be very easy to open it and get in and say hello to Fred. Here's the thing. Right next to the shite lock is a big old window. And if you notice, the window's not even fully closed. So you can just pull the screen out and just walk on into my situation. So all that 5 seconds, 2 minutes, seconds raking, 30 seconds, 20 seconds, doesn't matter. 1 second, smash in. Exactly. Like Zoe said, a brick is better. You know, you can, yeah. I mean, look, when it comes, so yeah, when it comes to forced entry, when it comes to people breaking into your house, they're not gonna pick this. They're going to smash this. Or if they're dumb like me and just leave their screen open, they're just gonna pull the screen out and walk right on in. In and out, in and out is that way, cat. But yeah, now, yeah, easy way, not so easy way. Now, granted, you could force entry on the door too, but why? It's right here. The window is right freaking there, and like, okay, we got some things. Oh, look, my lock pick, my rock pick. This is how I'm getting in. It might bring attention, but if I'm a bad man doing malfeasance, I'm in and out real quick. Let's see. You don't even need to go far into my apartment. $1,000 lens, $1,000 film camera, $250 value vintage Polaroid. That's a pretty good killing. Lickety split, and you didn't even need to do very much. You know, uh, uh, oh, I'll say one thing. I'm very strongly in favor. I hate electric stoves. Personally, I love that that my building has a gas burner. It's legitimately like, yeah, don't, yeah, a Fented would hit the jackpot. I mean, look, frankly speaking, just for the druggies, girl. Oh, look, it's a bong collection. It's literally a collection of bong. But yeah, I'm strong. Yeah, me personally, and especially in a professional setting, you would never ever see electric stoves because they don't put out enough heat. Like you need a gas burner. But yeah, I totally like see the point where like gas appliances, like gas leaks are such a cause of both, you know, poisoning and fire. And Benny. So yeah, but yeah, definitely from a safety standpoint, definitely electric is the way to go. But from a BTU standpoint, from a cooking standpoint, I like yeah, I'm all for like, yeah, I'm all for removing um you know safety hazards and all that, but I'm also all for cooking uh with gas, literally. All right, let's take a few more cracks at the D. You know what? Before we take a crack at the D9, yeah, and I mean, I'll say one thing is that fortunately, my building they're kind of shite sometimes with like basic maintenance, but as far as stuff related to safety and like filters and gas leaks and what have you, water leaks, they're actually pretty good about that. Um, Now, like I said, they could be better about some other things. I mean, I think it's my right as an American to shit on my property management company. They own everything. I just rent it, so fuck them. Praise Saint Luigi, eat the rich. God, all this revolutionary talk. Wait till you'll find out that I'm actually a nepo baby and my parents have money and I will inherit stuff. Oh no. The truth will set me free. The truth will set you free, but the truth is always somewhere in the middle. Oh, I'm a rich bitch? Yeah. Honestly, the funny thing is, gas scares me, but like I've been traumatized by water in the past. So that's what scares the crap out of me. Um, a while back when I was living in Koreatown, back when I could still afford Koreatown, um, because Koreatown's gotten so expensive in the like since COVID started, Koreatown's prices and rent has just gone through the roof. Like I can still afford this part of Hollywood because it's kind of a medium neighborhood, but like K-Town, I used to love living in K-Town, but K-Town got so expensive. Um, but yeah, I used to rent a condo in K-Town with my ex, and just like this unit, as a matter of fact, because it was a townhouse style unit, just like this one. It was, um, but yeah, I used to live in another townhouse style home, um, and yeah, and it much like this one, it had a water heater, you know, in-unit water heater rather than like a master water heater for the building or for the floor or whatever. Um, which has its pluses and minuses, but the water heater blew up one night. So I woke up at 4 a.m. to like take, a midnight pee, and I literally like stepped into lake my bedroom. And yeah, me and my ex were living in Airbnbs for months after that because there was so much water damage. So yeah, I fear water. Also, and I'm sure Silvana, you can speak to this. Like I said, my family in New York lives in Rockaway Beach. When Sandy came around, holy crap! The amount of damage in their basements was just unreal. And not just the property damage to the building itself, but just like because in California, our basements are kind of tiny and crap. They're kind of like just spaces to store like you know, the hot water heater and stuff like that. Like they're more of like a pit in the dirt than an actual like extra floor. Whereas if you go to the east coast of the United States, the basement is a whole nother floor. Um, but yeah, there's just the amount of like you know, memorabilia and, photo albums that go back like 100 years in my grandparents' house that got destroyed by water. Were just, yeah, it was so bad. Sandy was so bad. And I mean, there have been other things since then, but yeah, Sandy was like, and I was living in New York at the time because I was going to Bard College. Um, Sandy just wrecked shop. In a way, I'm really glad we don't get hurricanes here in California. Like, don't get me wrong, earthquakes can suck, but like, honestly, we don't really get that many like super bad earthquakes these days. I mean, we get fires, so I should shut the hell up. But But I'm not gonna lie, being a lifelong Californian, you get so blasé about earthquakes. It's like, oh, it was a 4.2. I was sleeping. Or like if you're like sitting down watching TV and suddenly the ground starts shaking, it's like, oh, cool. Now my TV is 4D. It's like I didn't know I needed like vibration effects while I'm watching like Band of Brothers or whatever since it was Memorial Day recently. Oh yeah, you guys had that earthquake last year or whatever. It was like a 4.2. It was such a nothing burger to a Californian. Like from a Californian, it was like, oh, you guys had a 4.2. Yeah, he does. Climate change is crazy stuff. I think most of those typhoons or hurricanes or cyclones or whatever the heck you want to call them in whatever culture you're from, I think they're mostly heading towards your side of the Pacific, though. Japan, uh, Typhoon Alley. Exactly, Zoe the cat. Nothing. I don't think there's anything perfect. Perfect. But yeah, on the whole, I definitely prefer earthquakes to hurricanes. But that being said, part of global climate change and whatever is that my state's on fire way more frequently than it was when I was a kid, and it's the opposite of fun, to tell you the truth. Yeah, Florida's going to be underwater pretty soon, and honestly, uh, I'm not crying at all. Sink faster, Florida. Yeah. Um, like many elderly New Yorkers, my grandparents, especially when my grandpa was still alive, but um, used to spend the winters in Florida. I despise the state of Florida. Like I know it's like a big East Coast retirement place, but for fuck's sake, let's just move to California. It's like fine, okay. You think California is too liberal for you? You don't really dig with like the People's Republic of California. Fine, move to Arizona. I just hate spending winters with my grandma in Florida sometimes. Uh, just winter, like January, and you get out of the shower and you cannot dry the crack of your ass because it's so humid. That's bullshit. Like, you know how you dry your butt crack in California? Well, A, with a towel, but B, if you don't even have access to a towel, you just open the door to the bathroom, all the extra humidity will clear out and you'll be dry just of your own accord within a few minutes. Yeah, honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I don't live in New Jer I used to love New York. I still do, but it's one of the few places in America that's even more expensive than Los Angeles. So it's a non-starter at this point for me. Yeah, I do love spring and fall. I also love summer because I'm a summer boy. I'm a summertime baby. But yeah, I love fall because of the colors. Didn't I say I was gonna pick an same Silvana? I'm August 20th. It was my birthday. Barely made it into the Leo for you people who care about that sort of thing. I'm not one of those people. Yep. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That is the absolute truth, Glenn. Like I like to tell the property management company, hey, this is the cat's apartment. I just pay the rent. They run the place. I just sleep here and make sure they're fed and have clean shit boxes. And you know what's Zoe the cat? I'm taking your also in August, maybe. Also, not for nothing, but I'm pretty sure some of the worst people are born on 420. That kind of sucks for us weed smokers. Like why did the Austrian corporal painter mustache man have to get born on 420? Also, funny story about my birthday, August 20th. Not in the year of my birth, but August 20th is the day that Lyle and Eric Menendez killed their parents. I think that was still in the 80s. Yeah, all the celebrities are getting in the weed business. It's almost like they know. Also, speaking of celebrities and partnering up and opening spots, uh, I'm gonna give a big ups to Seth MacFarlane. I don't think I'm not a huge Family Guy head. I don't, and I'm not like the biggest fan of Ted or whatever. Okay, Seth MacFarlane, we're gonna make fun of Boston. Hey, Lois. Um, well, I mean, he really loves his beer halls. Hey, Dean, how you doing? But yeah, big shout out to Seth MacFarlane because he might have opened a weed shop, but what he does also do is he sponsors a cat rescue in the LA Valley called called Perry's Place or Heaven on Earth. And I think that's pretty freaking cool. So yeah, I don't think he's the funny I don't think he's the funniest person in the world. I'm not always a big Family Guy fan, but yeah, Seth MacFarlane is in my good list for now. Um for the cat sanctuary. I just hope it doesn't come out like, oh, he went to Epstein's Island or something like that, or he was involved with like Scientology and Danny Masterson or whatever. Speaking of which, considering I'm an Angelino, yes. In case you were curious, every time I drive by a Scientology building, I scream, "Where's Shelley?" Because that's what we really want to know. Where's Shelley? I'm amazed they haven't put one of their Sea Org people to start following me. Scientology is more than just an odd one. It's really a dangerous cult, and it should not be a tax-free religion. Okay, opening up a can of worms. No religion should be tax-free, but least of all, Scientology. Yeah, I'm sorry, secret Darth Lord, secret alien Lord Xenu. I'm sorry. Yeah, Freemasons are odd too, but like Freemasons are odd in like a generally harmless way, in my opinion. You know, Scientology is like I would call them legitimately dangerous. Well, I mean, L. Ron Hubbard famously said that the spaceship that transported all the souls from wait from from TGAC to the prison planet. Yeah, what's like my high school teacher used to say, there's no normal people. There's just average boring people. Just horribly depressingly average. But yeah, what was I say? But I was gonna say, yeah, L. Ron Hubbard famously in OT3 or whatever specifically said that the ship that transported the Thetans from Theta to the prison planet TGAC, which is Earth, the spaceships looked like DC-8s, which means every time we go to an airport, we just see a bunch of the alien spaceships because pretty much every plane looks kind of like a DC-8 if you're not a aviation geek. Like, oh no, the DC-8 has four engines and the 757, 767, 787, A320, A338, whatever. They're only two engines. Still, it is a tube and wing construction with potted engines underneath. Every single jet airplane is a PGX style spaceship. We're completely nonplussed. I have no idea what I'm talking about right now. Let's talk about Area 51, everybody. Because if the Scientologists don't come and get me, then the CIA certainly sure as shit will. Let's also talk about let's also talk about how stupid people are. It's like, oh no, unidentified flying objects at unidentified flying objects at a secret Air Force base. What could possibly be causing that? Aliens. Area 52. That's just Tonopah Test Range. That's also Nevada. That's all Nevada. All right, I'm bored. I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. There is no doubt in my mind, and in fact, there should be no doubt in any thinking person's mind that aliens exist. Area 42. No, you're thinking about Plant 42. That's outside LA. That's Palmdale. That's where they make all the secret planes. Yeah, I got bored and I just broke out a rare master lock because I don't know if I can pick a brown belt lock, but I can pick a green belt. Well, I don't know. This isn't actually ranked, but a green belt level lock. Exactly the spice of life. The real question, the question isn't whether there is alien life forms out there, because the answer is definitely yes. The question is, have they come and visited us, or would they come and visit us? And honestly, if I were an alien that had figured out that was technologically advanced enough to figure out faster than light travel to travel from their galaxy to ours, and I pulled up on Earth and saw 2025 Earth, I'd be like, no, what's option B? We are out, dude. These guys are nuts. Like, holy crap, Russia cannot stop invading land that used to be its, but that used to belong to it, but no longer belongs to it. Oh, Dean P, I got news for you. They're going to be waiting an awful long time until all war ends. Yep, pretty much. So yeah, if I were an alien with if I were an alien civilization with sufficient technological intellect to think of faster than light travel and intergalactic travel, yeah, if I pulled up in my you know, in my spaceship and saw this situation, I would keep on going. What locks do aliens have? I don't know. As Bosnian Bill would say, alien technology. Guadalajara aliens. Chivas. Yeah, I think we're gonna call. I think when this lock goes pop, we're gonna call the stream. I'm gonna I'm gonna change my my YouTube bio right now. P Dubs is I feed cats 3 times a week and post videos of them online. I do other stuff too. I'm just gonna change my my description to David Romano, autodidact polymath. Me too, spice of life. I'm an animal lover of all animals. It just so happens that there's a lot of homeless cats in Los Angeles. And I like to take care of them. And whoa, that's my face. I got my best girl Emily keeping me company while I pick. Yeah, all big cities they just have so many homeless cats. She's not just looking fabulous; she is fabulous, right, Mickey Boop? Turkey soup? Was it what was it? Turkey soup. My mom called me. It went to voicemail. Fred and Ben. Fred and Ben, I think are upstairs. We'll check them as soon. Mm, okay. All right. We're gonna pick this sucker open, and then we're gonna go look for Ben and Fred and say goodbye. Natasha, nice to meet. I don't know, Zoe the cat. I keep getting distracted by cats. Jezebel the Tory. No. Oh no, true builder. Oh, there are so much more than two. So I have these many cats, and in addition, there are these many fosters. So that makes cats. And I'm saying that quietly because my building manager is next door to me. And I don't need snitches because officially we're allowed two cats. So yes, I have two cats. No, I actually have three cats. I pay for three cats on my rent. Nah, building manager's with the snitch agency is what he's with. I don't know why I can't. Oh, KGB building agencies. Spasiba. No, if there's bugs, the cats will fit. Whoa. Well, chat, remind me, what happens to snitches? What happens to snitches, chat? Yeah, that's another reason why cats are better than dogs, because dogs would snitch to the cops, but a cat never would. Okay, P Dubs, thanks for coming by. I hate that I've forgotten how to pick locks all of a sudden because I can't show you one last view of Fred and Ben. But I would love to see the damage. Well, I don't wouldn't love to see it, but I would be very fascinated by it. Yeah, you ain't kidding, P Dubs. You ain't not kidding. Dean P, like I see like I see on many trucks driven by chuds. Come and take it. Yeah, that's why you don't have my address. Come on. All right. You know what? Delete reset. Yeah, I know. It's mutual, Dean. We are shooting the proverbial kite. We are BSing. We're having a good time. Maybe one day, Rona. Maybe one day. There's a lot of Southern California that's worth exploring, and I kind of like taking you folks to the like the you know I like taking y'all folks to the parts of my state that are like known by me and the locals, but not well known. There's so much more to California than what meets the eye. It's kind of the case for most places, but California gets so pigeonholed as like this, hi Lila. All right, finally, dudes. All right, P Dubs. I don't know if you're still there or not. Dean, it is a U-scan thing. It's made in Taiwan, which means it's probably made but in the Federal Lock factory. Um, and it's probably some version of the ABIS 8045 or 8145. But yeah, I bought it on eBay with no key. Um, it's a lot like an ABIS 83, except the core retention is slightly different. And by slightly different, I mean way, 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 way more. Isolation wilderness north of Kybers across. Yeah, it's definitely got an Avis vibe to it, and like I said, I believe, especially with the 300 on it, I think it's probably sold as an Avis. It's just made at a factory, and then UScan is like a lock picking, like a locksmith distributor thing. So it's almost like having like a CLK supplies uh brand on it, or like what's like other locksmith brands, Ilco or GMS or something like that. All right, Ben and Fred and other kitty catos not named Emily. They are all upstairs. Let's go. Shoot, Silvana. I can answer camera questions, knife questions, lock questions, cat questions. Speaking of kitty cats, incoming. Fun girl. Oh my god, there are 5 cats on this bed. Guys, can we just hold proceedings for a minute to admire the cuteness? Look at this. Look at this. Bunny, Fred, Lisa, Benny, Sully, all the kitties. I'm telling you, the Benny. Well, I mean, Silvana, when I wake up, it's pretty close to this. Sully doesn't really get on the bed, especially not at that position. He's more where Sunny is. But yeah, Sully and Sunny would be here. Fred would actually be where Sully is. He likes to sleep behind me. Ben sleeps exactly where he is right now, and uh, Louisa goes where Fred is. That's their setup, generally speaking. Bye, son. Not really. Sunny likes to like nuzzle into like the crook of my arm, like between my torso and my arm. You know, Sunny likes to be the little spoon, as it were. But yeah, Ben goes pretty much exactly where he is right now. The only difference is he's currently sitting on my run Sol. Yeah. Ben pretty much goes exactly where he is right now. My iPad is usually over here. Um Fred likes back here. You can actually see like I cleaned it recently, but like you can see this. This is the Fred zone. Yeah. Benny, 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 Benny. Yeah, biscuits are fun. The yeah, the picture of me and Fred that was the display picture for this stream is actually him making biscuits on my well, I mean, he was licking my face, but previous to that, he was making biscuits on my face, which is great until he pulls his claws out. Why? Why? Sound back. Okay, as I was saying, the reason we lost sound is because my mother called me for the second time. So, since we're starting to wind down anyways, I think that's a sign from on high. Uh, when Jewish mothers want to speak to you, you answer. And so, I am going to bid you all a great day. I have, for those of you who are interested, my latest cat video just went live on uh at 3 p.m. I've got the shoot from yesterday that I still need to edit. That will be going live either tomorrow or Thursday. Um, but on that note, and hopefully, assuming all goes well, there will be a or no, it's not going to be a lock picking Meower. No, it's going to be there's going to be a colony live this Sunday at 2 p.m. unless I get a shift at work. But if I don't, if I'm free, 2 p.m. will be at the colony feeding the cats live. Oh, no, no, no. Sorry, Silvana. No, no, no. Ask quickly. We got time. But this is the last question. Quickly, quickly, quickly. Type, 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 type. Go, 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 go. Fast, 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 fast. Sorry. I did say you could ask, and I'm a man of my words. I am getting a stick of gum, though. So I'm going to hate on my chewing sounds. First camera. How do you mean? Like, what was my first camera? Or what's a good recommendation for a first camera? Oh, okay. Let me do this really quickly. The best camera is the one you have with you. So the best camera is to get a phone that takes good picture. That's just a fact. All right. That being said, if we're talking like a more um, if we're talking more like point and shoots, honestly, there aren't that many good point and shoots. The sensors are very similar to what's in the what's in a phone these days. So I don't generally recommend them. Bye, PW. Thank you so much. I'm leaving as soon as I answer this question from Silvana because I need to talk to my mom. Yeah. As far as point and shoots though, Sony does make a lot. I haven't checked up on this recently, but Frank, nice to see you. But yeah, Sony does make a line of some fairly high end point and shoots called the RX line. I'm sure it's still in production. And yeah, highly recommended. If you want a point and shoot. If you want an SLR, something with interchangeable lenses, it's really kind of hard to go. Yeah, hey Frick, no worries, man. If you want an SLR, it honestly, it's kind of hard to go wrong. There aren't like crap has already been pushed out of the marketplace, effectively speaking. Um, so it really depends on whether you have lenses for them already and how much your budget is. Um, I'm a big fan of full frame single lens reflex cameras. Those are generally speaking on the more expensive side. I last bought one in 2011 and it was $3,000. Um, I know what like, and that was a Canon 5D. I still recommend the 5D. I think they're very good cameras. I don't love them, but they're good at what they do. Um, yeah, I am Jewish. Did the nose give it away? Yeah, bird watching pictures. I like Canon. I think the thing with Canon is that their telephoto lenses are very good. And so if you want to get close to something from far away, that's a good call. I'm also a big fan of Sony. I think their mirrorless cameras are the best in the business. Yeah. When it when it comes to mirrorless camera when it comes to mirrorless cameras, I think Sony is the best in the business. And I think it's an interesting thing to point out is that Sony's photography business is actually a direct offspring of a very well-known film camera manufacturer, that being Minolta. And as a matter of fact, Sony's original RAW format, ARW, is actually directly evolved from Minolta, and their original digital SLRs used the same alpha mount as Minolta did when they invented, as it were, the modern autofocus SLR. Um, so yeah, my top picks would be probably either Canon or Sony. Nikon is a good option too. Like I said, it depends. If you have lenses already, then stay within that system. Like this is all opinions, by the way, Jason. So like you're free to disagree. It's fine. Um, uh, Silvana, yeah, but generally speaking, if you already have lenses for a system, stay within that system. Yeah, eBay can be okay, but you can get scammed sometimes. If you have the money to buy new, I would recommend buying at a legitimate camera uh, um, vendor like B&H, just because you'll get the warranty. Some of these gray market though, um, it is very iffy. Yeah, if you got nothing, then my recommendation would be cameras are hand tools. You use them in your hand. Go to a camera shop and try them out. You never know what you're gonna like. I mean, like I said, I recommend Canon. I have a Canon. It's an old ancient Canon, but if I had to go back and do it all over again, I probably would have gone with Sony instead of Canon. Um, and to answer your question, uh, Jason, as to why Sony, it's because they make some excellent lenses right now, especially the Carl Zeiss stuff. Um, their mirrorless cameras are really good, and here's another thing, Sony is an OEM for sensors. So, like, if we're talking about Nikon, Nikon uses Sony sensors. Most sensors these days are made by Sony, the exception being, Canon, who make their own sensors. But yeah, this is my DSLR. It's 15 years old now almost. If I had to go back and do it all over again, what I didn't know is I thought when I was 18 years old, I thought that these knobs were like the shizzle nizzle of like camera control, stuff like that. But now, as a 30 something, I vastly prefer to have physical dials. I, like this, I don't mind, or like this, I don't mind. Like I like a dial, but like I wish that Canon had physical f stops on its lenses, like older Nikon lenses did. And you know, I think certain camera manufacturers just give you better tactile interaction with the cameras than others, and I happen to think that Sony is among the best, especially in what's in wide circular. I do have to put in my own personal meshugas, which is that I am a huge Pentaxian. What does that mean? I like Pentaxes. Okay. If we're talking about beautiful cameras, this this is the Pentax 67 II. It's a medium format film camera that's a 6x7. This is a beautiful camera, and and like I said, it's got the f stops on the lens, which is where it belongs because the lens and a shutter dial. Yeah, Leica is beautiful, but God, they're expensive. But one thing that is shared by both Pentax and Leica, which I think is very, very nice, is that for their digital cameras, they and this is getting into technologically speaking things, but you know, when you're shooting with digital, you're either shooting a raw image file, which is like a digital negative, or you're shooting a JPEG. And if you're shooting anything other than like basic stuff, you should be shooting raw because you have more bit depth, you have bigger color space, blah 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 blah. We can nerd on about photography really long, but I do need to go talk to my parents. But yeah, but but generally speaking, but RAW, even though it's said, yeah, RAW is way better than JPEG. Here's the problem with RAW: it's not a standardized file, as it were. Like JPEG is a JPEG, and the standards of JPEG are controlled by the JPEG organization, I believe. The same thing goes for like TIFF, PDF. PDF. The standard for PDF is done by Adobe. RAW is brand specific. So if you get Nikon, you have an NEF file, a Nikon electronic file. If you have Canon, it's a CR2, Canon RAW 2. If you have Sony, it's ARW, which stands for Alpha RAW, which actually comes from Minolta, believe it or not, because that's actually the Minolta RAW format. Pentax and Leica, I think was LEF or something like that. Doesn't matter. Nobody uses that anymore. And the same thing goes for Pentax. Pentax had PEF, Pentax electronic format. But here's the thing. a while back, about 10, 15 years back, Adobe, the people who brought you Lightroom, Photoshop, the PDF file, yeah. Well, JPEG is a lossy file. RAW is lossless. TIFF is also lossless, but the files are massive. Um, but Adobe back in the day came out with a file called DNG. It's a raw format that's open source and can be used by anybody. When I work digitally, which is rare these days, with the full size digital camera, the first thing I do in Lightroom is convert my Canon CR2 files to DNG because it is a handier, quicker, more elegant file. And what I love about both Pentax and Leica is that they will shoot natively DNG in camera. You don't need to do an extra conversion when you are importing into Lightroom. Now, that's not the end of the world, but I think that's a beautiful thing. And like I said, I'm a Pentaxian, and Pentax makes, granted, it's like $9,000 or $7,000 or something like that. I cannot afford it, but Pentax still makes a digital medium format camera called the 645Z, I think. Um, and with an adapter, you get full auto exposure on all 8 lenses I own for my 67. Hell yeah. That's called back compatibility. So yeah, my recommendations for a camera, they're all good. You can't go wrong. It's kind of like cars. They're all pretty much good enough to get you from point A to point B. All cameras these days take good. It's a question of what can you afford, what do you need, and you know, what feels good in the hands. These are hand tools. Like I said, I prefer this Pentax to that Canon because I like the the clickety and the clackety more than the spinny dial situation. You know, but by that same look, some people you don't see these anymore because they didn't really make this migration to digital photography. Some people really like shooting with twin lens cameras, like this Rolleiflex. This thing you adjust with these two dials on the front, which it's very sensible, but it's not for me. Although this has a beautiful Carl Zeiss lens on it. Um, Speaking of which, okay, guys, Silvana got me distracted on photography stuff, but I promised to call my mom 5 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago. So thank you all for hanging out with me. Hope to see you soon. Hope to see you at the colony this Sunday, and meow.